If she dies, it will be your fault.
But it wasn't just me. They was all in it.
All?
Well, Bea and Lizzie and all the girls in the laundry, and Miss Bennett was there. She saw what was happening.
Relax. Look at me. How are you feeling? You look just beautiful.
Thank you. Funnily enough, I feel it too. It's amazing the difference between a uniform and real clothes.
Beautiful, but vulnerable.
Is that good?
Oh, yes, for us it's just great. But you see and look sad at the jury, all right?
I'm going to have to try very hard.
You'll be all right.
It's going to be pretty rough, isn't it?
You'll be okay.
How bad?
The prosecution will try to convince the jury that you are a cold-blooded and deliberate murderess. And when I get to your side of the story, your husband's attitude to the baby, his being in your bed with another woman while you were having that child aborted, yes, it will be rough. The question is, can you take it?
The Queen and Travers! The Queen and Travers! The Queen and Travers!
Come on, Ken. It's time.
As far as I can see, your behaviour negates any right you may have.
Well, it's easy for you to judge, sitting up here in your nice, safe office. You don't have to handle a rabble day after day.
If I did, I'd do a downside better job than you do.
I've been with the department for years. No one has ever found fault in the way I do my job except you.
Dear God, you can hardly call it finding fault when I have clear evidence that you stood by and watched one prisoner beat another one.
What evidence? Just the word of one of those sluts?
That is enough. I intend to report this.
You can't. You know how these women say anything to get at me? Well, look at Smith and her disgusting friends and the way they tried to frame me on that bashing charge.
And it was Barbara's statement that cleared you. Look at the way you're repaying her.
You told me to treat her like any other prisoner.
If this is the way you treat other prisoners, then you deserve to be reported. I'll let you know what I decide. In the meantime, I'll try to clear up this mess you've made with Barbara. And I want you to stay as far away from her as possible.
With pleasure.
You're not doing yourself any good, you know. How can you expect us to help when you won't even discuss it sensibly?
Hey, Barbie, you're on the wrong side of the door, love. No beef. All these years I've been in prison, first time I ever seen a screw try to get into a cell.
Haven't you got any work to do?
Yeah, we came to get the dirty washing out of her cell.
Move those women out of here.
She won't even answer now.
Leave me alone, please, mate.
Now, come along. This is not a circus.
What about me schedule? I mean,
Now, just keep moving me. Oh.
Barbara, I know you can hear me, dear, so if you don't want to answer, at least listen. I've spoken to Doreen Anderson. She told me what happened. I've had a long and difficult session with Vera Bennett.
Bet she was lying about me.
Let's just say you won't have any more trouble with Officer Bennett. That I can guarantee you.
I don't believe you.
Now listen carefully, Barbara. In all the time we've known each other, have I ever lied to you? During all the difficulties and differences we've had within the family, I can't think of a single time. Can you?
They'll tear me apart, Auntie. The other prisoners, they hate me.
If you come out now and do as Mrs. Jackson tells you, I promise you I'll protect you and no one will hurt you. I give you my word. She'll look after you. How is she?
Well, I took her down to Dr. Miller. He's given her a sedative and she's resting there.
Thank you. Would you like some coffee?
Oh, thank you. Smells good. Come to any decision about Barbara?
I think so. I intend to transfer her as soon as possible.
Oh, that's a bit drastic, isn't it?
You mean it's an admission of failure?
No, I didn't say that.
It is, in a way. She'd never get any peace with the other prisoners knowing of our relationship. And regardless of what I told her, I know damn well I can't protect her. No, she'd be better off in another prison. And I'd certainly be better off as soon as she leaves.
Well, the other prisoners will come to accept her. In time, they always do.
And during that time, we'd have nothing but trouble.
Seems such a pity.
It is. I've always tried to run this prison as a place of rehabilitation and reform. Just makes you feel a bit down when you realize you can't really rehabilitate someone as close to you as your own niece. Maybe Vera's right. Stamp down and just keep stamping down.
Oh, you can't believe that.
I'll get her transferred as soon as possible.
I hope the old geezer's ulcers have had some rest this morning.
Yes, Mr. Wilson.
May it please the court, I act for Mrs. Travers in this matter.
Very well, Mr. Wilson, you have the court's attention.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, as you know, this hearing is the second hearing to do with the facts surrounding the death of one Wayne Travers, the husband of the defendant. Now, we will not attempt to deny that Mrs. Travers killed her husband. We would, however, bring to the attention of the court circumstances and evidence of mitigation, which should affect your assessment of the guilt of the defendant.
The court takes it that the plea of guilty still stands.
Yes, it does, Your Honor, and we will be relying on mitigation. I will bring evidence to show that at the time of the original trial, the defendant was in such a state of emotional turmoil as to preclude her from properly conducting her defense. I will show that the defendant, whilst not willfully perjuring herself, was not of sufficient clarity of mind to have the best regard toward her own interests.
Well, perhaps if you bring to the court's attention the actual facts you intend to bring to back up your assertions.
Yes, I'm coming to that, Your Honor.
With due dispatch, one hopes.
I will ask the jury to consider the circumstances of the woman whose background, religious, and social beliefs conditioned her to hold the life of a child sacred. I will ask you to understand the mind of such a woman, forced by her husband into aborting the child of their marriage. I would ask you to put yourself into the defendant's place. When, on returning home from hospital, after such a harrowing and traumatic experience, she found her husband in bed, in their marriage bed, with another woman. I would ask you, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, to Understand what Karen Travers did under extreme provocation. And then